Hello, sports fan, and welcome to the Packs for Breakfast Dodgers edition. There they are, a bunch of Dodgers. We pulled a bunch of packs of cards and came up with so many Dodgers. I'm a Rockies fan, not a Dodgers fan, and there's just so many Dodgers. We talked about Teoscar Hernandez, but I thought, you know what, he was in there. So I'm going to leave him up there for another week. I'm not going to talk about him again because I already did that. Blake Snell hasn't played this year other than 2 games. He's like 1-0 or 2-0 with a 2 ERA. He's doing very well until he got hurt. He's throwing on the side, so he looks like his return could be imminent. He might still be another month away. Kiki Hernandez, who cares? I mean, I just cannot get any kind of excitement to talk about Kiki Hernandez. He's got 7 home runs, 18 RBIs, batting .200. Yay, Kiki. But look at that guy. You want to talk about a legendary Dodger? That guy right there, Sandy Koufax. That is a Dodger that I can respect. That is a Dodger I can be a fan of. That is a Dodger with one of the greatest nicknames in the history of baseball. He was called the left arm of God. That tells you how great this guy was for the last 4 seasons of his career. Because really, the previous seasons, he only played 12 years. The previous 7 or 8 seasons, it's like he only had like a 6.8 WAR. He wasn't great. His legend was really made in his last 4 or 5 years. It's still amazing that it's like this exists, that he had kind of this really slow burn to this meteoric rise. You know, it's like, I'm going to take my time. I'm not doing much. Now an explosion. He was the first-time 3-time Cy Young Award winner. He did it in 3 of his last 4 seasons. He won the MVP in '63. He was the youngest player to get voted into the Hall of Fame. He had to retire in 1966 because he was having arm problems. He had too much pain. He had chronic pain in his elbow, and he had to leave. But he's still alive, 89 years old, still kicking. His WAR is a bit fuzzy. 53.1 seems to be what I've come up with as the number that most people will agree on. But FanGraphs say it's 54.5, and then another one says 48.9. So I'm going to choose to believe the 53.1. It seems to be maybe the most accurate. Sandy Koufax, of course, only playing 12 years, only had 165 wins with 87 losses, but a 2.76 career ERA. With 2,396, strikeouts. So the thing about Koufax's short career was 3 of his last 4 seasons were absolutely amazing. In 1963, he had 25 wins with a 1.88 ERA. That was also the year he won the MVP. It was also the year of his first Cy Young. In 1964, he had 19 wins with a 1.74 ERA. In 1965, he had 26 wins with a 2.04 ERA. In 1966, he was 27 wins with a 1.73 ERA. That was his last season. That was chronic elbow problem season. He had 27 wins with a 1.73 ERA. He had 27 complete games that year, pitched 323 innings and struck out 317 with chronic elbow problems. And he started like 41 games. I'm telling you right now, it might be the reason that his career ended so quickly. It's the reason he probably walked away knowing that the elbow was never going to get a chance to get better, because back in that day, you just played through the pain. It didn't matter, and he probably got sick of playing through the pain. But even playing through the pain, he was an elite baseball player. He was an elite pitcher his last 4 or 5 seasons in the MLB. He had 4 no-hitters in his career. He was a 2-time World Series MVP. He was a 4-time World Series champion. The numbers just were amazing for this guy. And really, he did it in a 4 or 5 year span to really show that it's like this guy was a first ballot Hall of Famer with about 86% of the vote. And today I think he would be a borderline, because people would go, well, it was just his last 4 or 5 years that were great. Remember, Terrell Davis had like 4 or 5 really good seasons, and they kept him out of the Hall of Fame for quite a while, because while he's Hall of Fame caliber, having less than 8,000 yards rushing in his career, only one other guy had been put in the Hall of Fame as a running back with less than 8,000, and that was Gale Sayers. And I mean, Gale Sayers, he accumulated a lot of all-purpose yards because he was also, I think, their punt returner and kick returner. So you could at least lean on that. Terrell Davis was purely a running back, and they still put him in the Hall of Fame. But I think Sandy Koufax in this day and age, even with all the complete games and everything like that, I think that, because baseball writers suck. I mean, they can't even, unanimously vote obvious players into the Hall of Fame without, because somebody's got to be, a douchebag about it. But I think Koufax, it would have been a hard sell going, well, he only had 4 great seasons, 5 good seasons, and the rest of his career he was pedestrian. But I'll tell you right now, to end his career the way he did, with 3 out of his last 4 seasons being 25 plus wins, and his last season dealing with chronic elbow pain, and still going 27-9 with a 1.73 ERA and 317 strikeouts. Those guys were warriors, but it may also cut their career shorter. Maybe if he's also playing in this day and age, maybe he plays longer. Maybe you get 18 years out of the guy, and he gets closer to 250 wins. But we'll never know. I mean, he played in a different era, a different time. It's like, that's why I say it's like, guys like Jacob deGrom and Scherzer and guys like that, if they played back in the day, they probably would have played through a lot of the injuries that they had, and still probably toughed it out to a lot of strikeouts and a lot of wins like Koufax did. Different era just means a different mentality, but it doesn't, change your greatness. A lot of those old players racked up those stats hurt. And I think that, if you put today's players back in the day, they grow up with that mentality. They grow up with that kind of if Koufax grew up now, if he was a 25-year-old pitcher now, he'd have the mentality that 25-year-old pitchers now have, because that's where he would have grown up in. And that's just the way it is. Great ones are great no matter where they are. It just, if you stick them in that era and they grow up in that era, they're going to have those sensibilities. A lot of Dodgers up there. Only one of them I can really, really, truly revere, and that is Sandy Koufax. And that is All-Star for now.